All right, I guess we are live right now. Hey, thank you for joining me, everybody. As you can see, I have successfully figured out the landscape issue with Facebook. I'm doing this through my laptop now instead of my phone. So I figured that out from the other day. And I'm really happy to say that I believe that you can hear me this time. Yesterday, I posted an update and I had the wrong audio microphone source. So, of course, I just sat and I talked like this for about 14 minutes and nobody could hear me. So, if you can hear me, I want you to tell me, hey, we can hear you, and tell me where you're coming from or where you're viewing from. Love to acknowledge that. Who are you? Where are you viewing from? Love to see a couple of pop-up comments and happy to acknowledge that. Now, a couple of announcements before we start. And again, it is April the 21st at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a little after that. What you're watching right now is a summary of one of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And you don't know this, but you've been missing out on a leadership group that's been meeting virtually. You see Cole walking around in the background here. Hi, Cole. We have been meeting, and you've been missing out because you haven't known about this special group that we have been meeting, and we have been filtering through every one of these 21 laws through the lens of not just my experience, but everybody else's experience, and you've been missing out. If you don't want to miss out, you can just let me know and just send me a private message. Say, hey, Nathan, how do I find out about this group? And I'll let you know. And part of what I'm doing right now is repurposing a little bit of proactive content so that we spend less time me talking about the law in the actual leadership group and more time us talking and reflecting about the law. So, hey, we have somebody, Lillian from Ireland. Oh, my gosh, we have international people here, and apparently you can hear me. So that's really good to know, because yesterday, again, you couldn't hear me. So we're going to jump right into this. And since we have someone with us from Ireland, I want to talk about somebody from the UK, Sir Richard Branson, whose documentary I was watching on Netflix the other day, and it was talking about how he did his hot air ballooning and set all kinds of records and did all kinds of crazy things. Like, everybody said, you're crazy, you might be a billionaire, and you might be a knight, Sir Richard, but you're absolutely crazy because you're not a balloonist, you don't have the experience, you don't have the skill, you don't have the track record, yet he did it. Now, he almost died several times, and it makes for a great Netflix documentary, but he didn't die. He survived, and part of that is mindset, but part of that is his inner circle, because he had other person, a guy named Per, who was a very experienced balloonist, and because of this guy Per, he did not die. Now, both of them almost died, but they did not die, and that's because Sir Richard Branson, he has multiple inner circles. He has a circle around him that has experts, so that when Richard Branson has a crazy idea, he is able to talk about that idea and be able to execute and implement that idea without actually dying, which is pretty amazing. And he's setting Guinness Book of World Records as well. Now, if you don't have an inner circle, that doesn't happen. So what the law of the inner circle is, and again, it's from this great book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and it basically says that your potential, how far you go, is determined by the people that you surround yourself with. How far you go in life as a leader, as a professional, how much money you make, all of those types of things, it's only determined by the people that you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with really good quality people, then you're going to go a lot farther. You're going to have a lot more of an impact. If you surround yourself with people that aren't that sharp, that aren't working that great together, then you're not going to have the impact that you could otherwise have. And that's why we're growing. That's why I'm committed to growth. There are other people that I see right here on the line. I see the likes and I see all the other things. We have been people that have been on this train of growth for the last 6 years and beyond. Like, for me, I found out about this book when it was a VHS tape 20 years ago in the library. 20 years ago. So I've been growing myself for 20 years, not just in an academic way, not just in a post-secondary education way, but I've been growing myself for the last 20 years. And then 6 years ago, I found out about this John Maxwell team, which now you can see the watermark right there. I found out about these folks, and they're some of my best friends on the planet. And these are leaders. I mean, friends, these are people with great attitudes. They're crushing it. They surround themselves with a great group of people, and they're some of my inner circle. And when it comes down to it, I bump into them twice a year, and we're growing. So if you're just sitting around there thinking maybe you have some really big challenges in your life, and you're saying, man, I wish I had some people that I could run with and track with and be able to not dwell on the negatives, but go past the challenges in our life and be able to do it, well, stick in. That's why I'm telling you about this leadership group that we're doing, because we're not jumping off the train. Life is only going to get more and more wonderful, but also more and more challenging. It kind of goes hand in hand. And you know what? The good news is I'm not jumping off the train. Maybe neither are you. And if that's your commitment too, I want to be able to take this journey with other people. I want to introduce you to some of the people I have in my inner circle that I've been growing with for the last 5-6 years. Yeah, the big dogs like Eric Reed right there, all the way from South America. I mean, are there any people like in the US of A here on this Facebook Live, or is everybody else like on the other side of the world? It's great to have you here with us, Eric. And Eric's a great coach as well. You want to definitely check out what he's doing, because he is crushing it. He is living the dream, and I've actually seen his reality TV show I think he was on House Hunters. So we're in the company of amazing people here today. So law number 11 of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership is the law of the inner circle. Again, it says that your destiny is going to be based a lot upon the quality of the people that you have around you. Now, what I wanted to do here in the couple of minutes that we have remaining is there is always, I've gone international, Eric, absolutely. Well, we've been going international for years now. We were in Paraguay a year ago. It's all good. So the cool thing about this chapter, of every one of these chapters in the books, there are different levels and layers of lists and, and ordered lists, numbered lists, bulleted lists. There are all kinds of just strata of principles and anecdotes and just different elements that really make every one of these laws substantiated. So in the middle of this, I mean, Maxwell doesn't just tell us, hey, get an inner circle. No, he says you've got to have criteria. And when you have criteria, he has 5 criteria for us in the form of questions. And I wanted to let you criteria questions so that you don't just hear about the inner circle from me or from Eric or from somebody else, but you can actually start building your inner circle today. So I'm going to leave you with 5 questions right here out of the book. I'm not a genius. I just read the book, 20 years ago and living it. And here we go. So you've got these 5 criteria, these 5 questions to find out who are you drawing into the inner circle. And the other day I did a private video that I didn't even Facebook Live about the law of magnetism. And the law of magnetism, I'm going to kind of summarize that for you really quick, because it impacts this law of the inner circle so much. The law of magnetism says who you are is who you're going to attract. Who you are is who you are going to attract. And so if you're like 99% of us, when you're looking at the kinds of people that you're attracting, maybe it's comments on your Facebook Live, maybe it's people coming to an event that you're putting on, maybe it's employees, maybe it's that, and 99% of us, we are learning this stuff. 99% of us, we didn't have come from super leadership oriented families, and we didn't just see this stuff automatically role modeled in our life. Instead, we got in the right room, we invested to be able to learn from other people that were doing it right. So 99% of us, when we look and see who are we magnetizing in our life, who are we attracting, and we look at those people and we love the people, we're grateful for the people, but we're thinking, what can we do to kind of increase the caliber of people that we're attracting to us in our life? Well, that's where we have to start investing in ourselves. And so the good news is as we start investing in ourselves and start investing in our own life and start walking the walk and learning things and applying things and changing things about ourselves. Great to see you, Ajit. Man, what a gift to have you on with us today. As we start working on ourselves, we can increase the caliber of people that we attract in our life and on our teams. And then as that starts increasing, again, this was in the law of magnetism, we can start diversifying the teams that we put together so that we have people that have the same values, that have the same character and commitment as us and the same heart, but they think different thoughts and they have different personalities and they have different complementary strengths. So that's the diversity principle. So when you start magnetizing and attracting people, you want to start doing that. Now, here's how it all applies to the inner circle. Well, when you start building the inner circle, these are the 5 questions that you want to ask to determine how do I make the best inner circle I can. Number 1, do they have high influence with other people? Number 1, do they have high influence with other people? Are you putting people in your inner circle that are just, good worker bees maybe, but do they know how to liaise with other people? Do they know how to influence other people? Do they know how to be able to listen really well with other people and then be able to influence other people? Let's see what Cole thinks of that. Cole, you're distracting me, sweetie. Do they, Cole's in my inner circle, so she just likes to be able to walk in and out of the room and everything. Yeah. So, man, thanks for the note, Eric. Yeah. So do they have high influence with other people? Certain people are really good at certain things. Certain people are aware of certain things, but you want to staff your inner circle with people that have high influence with other. That means they know how to listen really well. That means that they care about other people, and then they're able to influence other people. And we know that on the John Maxwell team, leadership is actually influence. So we're not necessarily saying that it needs to be a title or a position type person, but it's somebody that can touch the heart before they ask for a hand. Somebody that touches other people's hearts is somebody who is able to eventually influence that person. And that's the kind of person that you want to have on your team. It's absolutely critical that you have that. So question number 1, do they have high influence with other people? Itza, wow, everybody except for Ajit, who has showed up here, and Ajit half the time is in the Virgin Islands. So this is like the most cosmopolitan Facebook Live audience ever, which rocks. So good to see you, Itza, you're with my friend Barbara down in Curacao, I believe, or you're from Europe. I remember sitting down for Starbucks with you a couple of years ago. It's great to have you with us. So number 1, do they have high influence with other people? Number 2, the question you got to ask is, what are they bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the table? Now, if you want to come to one of my events, if you want to volunteer at one of my events, you want to buy a table at one of my events, that's great. If you want to come to one of my workshops, that's great. If you want to come to my monthly workshop and even sit down and have coffee at my monthly workshop and add value to each other, if you want to hire me as a coach or whatever, that's all great. But if you want to be in my inner circle, and if you want to have somebody in your inner circle and they want to be in your inner circle, you've got to ask, not just do you have high influence, but what are they bringing to the table? Are they bringing not just a gift to the table, a gifted person to the table? Because if I'm telling you right now, we attract who we are. So if I have another idealistic person who is really a long-range thinker and somebody that cares about other people, that is wonderful, but that's not enough to get in my inner circle. You know why? Because I just described a Nathan clone. I just described a Nathan clone, a very idealistic idea person who has a very long range view and cares about people. That's what I do, but I don't need another clone just like me so that we can just brainstorm about things all day long and never get anything done. I need like a short-term, in the now, realistic person who is not just detailed, but able to have a moderate range view. That would be a complimentary gift to the table. I'm just being really transparent with you, but if you have like that long range view and let's just talk about ideas for the 5 to 10 to 20-year plan, that's just like me. So I have learned over time because those people used to be in my inner circle, but it's like we just start brainstorming about everything and we never get anything done. So that I don't make that an inner circle. That might be great for somebody else's, or I might spin off an inner circle for a project or something, but not going to be a good counterbalance to my inner circle. And why did I go into that? Because you need to think, what are my characteristics? What are my strengths? What are my strengths? And then any overused strength isn't a strength anymore. So if you have a cabinet, if you have an inner circle, with 5 other people just like you who are like really good debaters, really good negotiators, really good detailed people, and you have 5 people like that, and you're just going to plow down the door wherever you go, but you might not have the creative thinking, you might not have the compassionate piece or what I don't know. I'm just taking another example, but if you have 5 other people just like you, you're not going to have an effective team because you're missing the point. The point of the team is to shore up your weaknesses and to be able to have the diversity principle completely working for you. So question number 1, do they influence other people? Number 2 is, are they bringing a complementary gift to the table? And number 3, here we go. Do they hold a strategic position in the organization? Do they hold a strategic position in the organization? Now, I think maybe John talking about this one, he's talking about his organization. Now, he's got multiple organizations. So I think his point here is that if you've got a big organization, you've got to make sure that your inner circle people are prominent, that you promote them in your organization if they're going to be in your inner circle. And I think it could also mean, what organizations are they a part of and what kinds of title or position do they have? Title and position isn't everything, but it is something, and it does make sense to be aware of that factor. Now, that's question number 3. Question number 4, do they add value to me and the organization? Do they add value to me and the organization? And I think what he's talking about here is, I know John loves to talk about math all the time. So are you an adder? Are you somebody that adds value to other people? Do you care about other people? Or are you trying to just make deposit, look for ways to add? Or are you a minus? Are you a taker? Are you a taker? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Hey, I'm going to do this for you, but you got to do this for me. Are you transactional? We want to be relational people that are adding value. And no, I can't call him a friend because I've never actually met him, but right up the street is Adam Grant up in Wharton, University of Pennsylvania Business School. He wrote that great book about give and take. And his research said that the best people, are they the givers? Are they the takers? It's not what you think. It's the people that do both. The people that aren't giving so much that they aren't aware of who is reciprocating and who is not. You want to be somebody that mostly gives, but you want to be aware of being able to see who is reciprocating and who is not. Because I can tell you, there are some people I've just tried to add value to them so much. I'm going to go on a little soapbox right now. I have tried to add value to people. There are many people that I have nominated, and this is about to open up, that you can nominate other people in your area for the John Maxwell Leadership Award. It's a great way to be able to raise your influence with other people. You do not have to be a member of the John Maxwell team like Eric here, or Itza, or other people. You can be just a regular person who is a fan of John Maxwell, or you could just you could just nominate anybody for the John Maxwell Leadership Award. It's great. Now, I have nominated many people for this award, and some of them have paid attention. Some of them have filled out the application, and some of them have reached into the semifinals of the organization. It's been great. It's been great for them. And then they've touted it on their social media. They've touted it to their organization. They've kind of put it on their LinkedIn. And that is the exact reason why I nominated them for the John Maxwell Leadership Award. It's because I feel like they're a great leader. I wanted to recognize them, and I wanted to give them a way to be able to promote themselves without promoting themselves. Now, most of the people, maybe half of the people that I nominated for this award, it's kind of like, whoosh, that just went right over their head. Maybe they applied, maybe they filled out the application, and they didn't really stick with it, and then they didn't brag on it. They didn't mention it on their LinkedIn profile. They didn't even mention it on social media. They had false humility, and false humility really isn't humility at all. Now, so anyway, how did I get off on that whole thing? Adding value to you and the organization. It's reciprocity. When I'm going to stick my neck out and nominate somebody for the John Maxwell Leadership Award or for anything else, there are other things that I've done, but certain people just, my point with all of that is they don't seem to know how to reciprocate. And I'm not even talking about giving me some, I'm not talking about nominating me for an award. I don't want that. No, what I mean by reciprocate is just apply and take advantage of the opportunity that I'm able to give them in a very small way. I'll tell you what, I don't know that Ajit's still on the line or not, but I mean, he's our local TEDx Wilmington licensee and organizer. And I mean, he gave me, for example, an incredible opportunity. I just we had our first youth event a couple of weeks ago here in Wilmington, Delaware. Almost 20 speakers, just under 20 youth speakers. They crushed it. They hit it out of the park. And I decided, because we have the Youth Max Global Initiative with the John Maxwell team coming on, I thought it would be a great opportunity to highlight that in a secondary way by donating some money to TEDx Wilmington for this youth event. Now, what Ajit did was just exceptional, because I was not expecting this. I think for the relatively small amount of money that I donated, and I was happy to do it, but my means are a little bit limited. So I thought I was getting a little ad for that, and he generously really just up leveled this. I don't know if I should be saying this or not, because he's not going to necessarily do this for everybody, but I am the assistant director for TEDx Wilmington. I put a little bit of sweat equity in, and we're doing another 9 events together this year, and it's just a privilege to serve. But he gave me a really large upgrade just because he believed in what we were doing as well. Now, so he gave me an opportunity, for example, to be able to have a little bit more of a platform. And so now what I do is I have extra programs for the event that we did. I don't have them on hand, but the whole back of the program is our Global Youth Max Challenge. And that gives me a huge opportunity. Now, you better believe at the end of our event, what did I do? I was walking through all the seats and I was scooping up old used programs. Because when I walk into a business or a school or a church or a youth after school program, I just show them the front. I say, hey, I'm the assistant organizer for TEDx Youth at Wilmington. And then I flip it around the back and I say, and we're doing a John Maxwell team Global Youth Initiative. And so that makes it something that I can, without false humility and without exaggerating or without taking away from any of the other brands, I'm able to take the advantage that he gave me to be able to make a much bigger impact with people. And when I show them that brochure, the people kind of look at me a little different, and it's nice. Now, I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So when I do that for other people, I want them to be able to use it as a stepping stone instead of right over their head. So long point, but I think it's a point really well made. So are they adding value to me and the organization? We want to do things, and we want to have people in our inner circle who know how to leverage opportunities within organizations and to you. And that's what I try to do in my position at TEDx Wilmington. I try to leverage the opportunities. I try to watch out and protect the brand, the TEDx brand, that we need to be very, very careful. They have a lot of very fine lines, so I want to make sure that I'm respecting the brand, that I'm not violating the rights of others, but I also want to leverage things so that, really, frankly, I can make a difference here in Wilmington. I mean, they called us, Newsweek called us Murder Town, USA. That is a horrible thing to say in the home of DuPont. These great, big, amazing companies. Horrible thing to say, but it's because of our disproportionate murder rate, unfortunately. And fortunately, we have a new mayor here in town who's making a big difference. He has generated, when he was in the business community, $1 billion in the development of our legendary waterfront that we have. I mean, the city of Wilmington, Delaware is only about 70,000 people. It's a tiny, tiny city, but because of the tax laws in Delaware, we have a skyline of a city of 500,000 people. You know, we have such a disproportionate. It's an interesting place to live here. We have more corporations than we have people. We have under 1 million people, more than 1 million corporations. It's just kind of a funny place to live. So, are you adding value are the people in my inner circle adding value to me and the organization? And to me, that means, do they know how to leverage an opportunity? Or when you give them an opportunity, is it whoosh? Is it going to go right over their head? And I don't know about you, but when I give people opportunities, I don't have too many opportunities yet to give people, but I gave you one example, the nomination of the John Maxwell Leadership Award. If they don't really maximize that opportunity, if they say, oh, they didn't get back to me. I have one person who advanced to the semifinals who I thought could have been in the top 30 very easily, maybe even the top 10 of the 1,000 or so people that were nominated. And he said to me, hey, Nathan, you know, they didn't get back to me. And you know, this is a super busy person. So it wasn't an excuse. It wasn't, but the guy was so busy, he didn't have anybody in his inner circle that could look out for the emails. And he said, oh, they didn't get back. I'm like, hey, I didn't tell him this, but I said, I'm on the review committee. That, you know, we both know that's not the case. You just need to check your email filters. My gosh, especially as you go through the process. So, Tina, good to see you again. Tina from Africa. I don't think Chase from down the street. Chase, we finally have somebody from local right down the street. Everybody else on this YouTube or this Facebook Live has been literally on the other side of the planet, except for Chase and Ajit. And Chase, man, I can't wait to upload Chase's TEDx Youth Talk. Oh my gosh, what a great talk. And I'm the guy that gets to upload it as soon as I get it from the video editing people. So Chase, man, great to see you here, man. What great future. Future looks bright for Chase. My gosh. Imagine being a TEDx speaker alumni and still being in high school. You know, the rest of us adults, most of us, we're trying to just still apply and get our first one done. So good. So let's just review, and I'll give you the fifth one here in just a moment. Here we go. The 5 criteria for building your inner circle. Really, really key. Number 1, does the person that I'm going to bring in my inner circle, do they have high influence with other people? Number 2, does the person that I'm bringing into my inner circle, do they bring a complementary gift to the table? A complementary gift. That means, are they different than me? Do they have a different strength that can counterbalance my strength so that it doesn't become a super strength, which is actually a weakness? So do they bring a complementary gift? Number 3, do they hold a strategic position in the organization or an organization? Number 4, are they adding value to me and the organization? And I'm defining this as, do they know how to leverage opportunities, as well as, are they an adding value person, or are they a taker, or are they a giver? You want givers in there. And then number 5 is, do they positively impact the others in my inner circle? Do they positively impact the other people in my inner circle? Well, this is different than just, there are a lot of people that want a value add. So, I mean, if somebody's going to be in the inner circle, it's great that they want to be a value adder, but they have to be just who they are and what they're doing. They need to have a catalytic effect on the other people. So here's the difference, okay? Because it sounds like the same thing. Oh, well, Nathan, you know, of course they're going to impact other people in the inner circle if they're adding value. Well, not necessarily, because there are some people out there that we just love these people. They're really trying to add value, but the way that they add value, they're trying to be helpful. You ever have somebody that's trying to be helpful, but they're the kind of not strategically helpful in the right way? You know, it's kind of like when I was a little kid and my dad's repairing the door. Let's say my dad was my dad is a gifted physician, but he's also super handy, which is great. So he's working on the door, you know, he's pounding it up, and this is a little hypothetical, but I could just imagine, hey, I've got my little toy toolbox and I got my little toy hammer. Hey, daddy, let me help you with that. Hey, daddy. Well, I'm trying to add value and good for me for adding value, but am I really a good inner circle strategic person to fix the door? No. What am I doing? I'm actually kind of getting in the way a little bit. I'm kind of getting in the way a little bit. Now, I mean well, and my heart's right, and I just don't have the skills to at the level of repairing the door. And you know what? Unfortunately, I would say that continues to this day. My wife, my dear blessed wife Angela, knows not to ask me to fix the door because I want to try. I still want to try to act the door. Hey, Rich! Oh my gosh, blast from the past. My gosh, this is neighbor from college right here. Yeah, Birdman. Now the secret's out. Hey, they're making movies. They made a movie about Birdman. Rich, it's great to see you. So, we can try to add value. And you know what? It might be today somebody, brings the extra cup of Starbucks to your office and to your meeting, and that's great. How helpful is that? How nice is that? How sweet is that? They're a gopher. They're bringing takeout. Now that's great, but that's not a criteria for your inner circle because you want that person to bring out the best in the other people, not just fetch Starbucks or whatever. You want that person to be gifted, skilled, and personable enough and interpersonally gifted enough to be able to catalyze and have a synergistic effect on other people. So those are the 5 criteria. Now, gosh, we've been talking for 30 minutes here about the law of the inner circle. It says who you put around you, who you determine that's going to be closest to you in life is going to determine your level of success. And there are 5 questions to ask to set the right criteria for that. Number 1, do they have high influence with others? Number 2, are they bringing a complementary gift to the table? Number 3, do they hold a strategic position in the organization? Number 4, do they add value to me and the organization? And number 5, do they positively impact the other people in my inner circle? So, hey, you might be watching the replay right now. You might still be live right now. That's great. The reason that I'm talking about all this stuff is because you've been not knowing this, but you've been missing out on what we've been doing on Tuesday evenings over the phone. We've been having a 4-week virtual leadership event. It's just a consecutive event. We're going through this book that was just catalytic for me 20 years ago. I didn't know this, but there were 21 laws of leadership. And what that meant to me was there were 21 ways that I was just completely missing it in life. There were 20, and Rich can tell you this. My gosh, how do you play the second ballad? You know what, Rich? We'll have a clinic on that, right? I'll send him over to you, man. How about number 4? I think you nailed number 4, if I remember correctly. So there are these 21 situations in life, 21 locked doors, and I just didn't know. I just wasn't aware. It was just going over my head. And so I've become a little more socially aware than the days that Rich, I just love that Rich is sticking around here because Rich could tell you some crazy stories about me from day 1 freshman year or T-minus 7 days freshman year. I've come a long way. I mean, I've got a long way to go, of course, but there are these 21 laws that open up 21 possibilities instead of just socially whacking your head against the wall, literally or figuratively. There are these 21 hidden mystery keys that it seemed like a lot of other people had in their life that I didn't have. And so I've been certainly applying these for the last 20 years. But we've been getting together in the evenings. We've been talking about these things. It's absolutely free. I'm actually not allowed. This is the only piece of content that I've licensed from John Maxwell that I'm not allowed to charge for. So it is absolutely free. But I want to get the word out. And hey, you might be watching this replay right now. Maybe you're an administrator of a hospital or you're in some really high leadership position. But when you saw those 5 principles, those 5 questions, you thought, oh my gosh, and you're looking at your inner circle. Maybe somebody else created the inner circle and hired the inner circle for you, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, we gotta shuffle things up, or we need to work with what we have, or whatever. That's part of what I do as well. I mean, I've been going all over the world. We've had a global audience here. We've had people from Africa on this Facebook Live. We've been having people from South America, people from Europe, people from the Caribbean, on this Facebook Live, and I've been to all those places, and I've been teaching and training in all those places. But I want to bring it back to America. I mean, I don't, I don't want to make America great again, because I mean, I want to make the whole world great again, and that's what I've been doing. But I live in America, and I want to help make it great, and so that's part of what I do. So a couple of things. I mean, I have a number of tools at my disposal because I spoke at my alma mater last week up in central Pennsylvania. I am giving a couple of leadership game assessment tools virtually in the next week or two, which I'm really excited about. One hospital and an IT group that's been very, very siloed. I'm doing it another one to a virtual charter school, it looks like, with some of their heads of departments, which is just wonderful. I mean, for academia, those guys really seem to know how to move and move quickly. And so that's part of what we do. And you know what? Here's the most beautiful thing. We have Eric on the call. We have Tina over in Africa on the call. We have Eric, who is expatriated down to Uruguay, on the call. We have people all over the world. There are 15,000 of us. So if you're in San Francisco, or if you're in the Maldives, or if you are in Chile, or anywhere, if you're pretty much anywhere outside of outer space or the planet Mars right now, if you PM me, you don't even have to work with me. I will set you up. I will reach out and find out, personally take some time out, personally look up somebody within 20 miles of where you are and find out, make sure they're legit, vet them for you, and then do an introduction for you, because this is what we do in the John Maxwell team for each other. This is probably the only organization where you can license content, and then you bring other people onto the team, so that you go from being one of the first 500 people to now there are 15,000, and still you're trying to bring more people in and give opportunities and work and a way to other people. Why do we do it? Because John's principle. We want to be that plus sign. We want to be adding value to other people instead of being a minus. And then what happens as we grow is our influence and our platform goes up. And so we think we're adding, but really what we're doing is at a certain level, we start multiplying our impact. We start multiplying. Or if we're not adding value to people and we have a big platform, what does that mean? Well, we start dividing. And isn't that what we see? Unfortunately, in America, the last 100 days have been super duper divisive. The last year and a half before that, even worse. And that's what happens sometimes, not doing a commentary one way or another. I'm just saying that's why Eric flew up and I flew down to Paraguay a year ago, because we got to go in every strata of society. They said, we will change our entire country, John Maxwell. Bring in your coaches, bring in your 200-300 coaches. We're going to roll out the red carpet. We're going to do what they say. We're going to go into a mastermind, or actually we called it a round table. And then everybody in that round table is going to lead a round table, and we are going to go into the educational system. We're going to make an impact. That's why we do what we do. So anyway, I 40 minutes. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, thank you so much for jumping in, and encourage you to watch the replay, and I encourage you to comment and ask questions in the comments. I am going to be paying special attention, because looks like we've invested about the better part of 40 minutes of our lives into this, and so glad it added value to you, and I'll be checking the threads and keep the conversation going. Global Youth Max Initiative is happening in your neighborhood this next week. So if you have any issues with youth in your community, we had a horrible thing happen here in Delaware. There was a young girl convicted of attacking other girls in a fight, and I believe someone may have passed away, and that girl was in court this week and found guilty, if I understand, in juvenile court this week. And so there are bad things happening. There are good things happening, and then there are not good things happening. And the good thing that we're trying to do about it, only with your partnership, is we are doing these global Youth Max initiatives all over the world, over 500 locations worldwide: anti-bullying, self-esteem, self-image, and then failing forward. Those are our 4 parts of our curriculum. we're really passionate about it. That is absolutely free. We don't charge for that because we don't want kids doing bad things to themselves. We don't want them injuring themselves. We don't want them injuring other people. And we don't want them mentally and emotionally injuring themselves either, because we believe in the future. And so, guys, I don't know what else I can do to walk the walk. And it's not enough for me to go to Guatemala or Paraguay or do a medical mission with my wife and my brother in Tanzania, over in Africa. I got to bring it back here. And so part of bringing this back here is letting you know that this is happening in your community. It's happening in California, where I think you still are, Rich. Look into this stuff. You can go to youthmax.com and find out a location near you, or even request one, and we will staff one over there, youthmax.com. Anyway, it's 40 minutes. Let's get back to work, everybody. Take care. Love you. And thanks so much. We'll be doing more of these.